All right, we're back for Bell Tire hockey here tonight in Canada. Bell Tire taking on Ottawa Lady 67. Starting us out, Clemens, Evans, Hewer, Martin, and King, I believe. Ottawa in their zone, pushing out into neutral. Evans battling on the board. Hewer picking it up, sending it deep into the Ottawa zone with a little bit of a break here. Shot just over top of the glove shoulder of the goalie. That's going to come wide here. Martin's going to step in and pinch, send it back towards the net. That's going to rim around. Bell Tire's going to go for their first line change. Misfire on Ottawa. It's going to stay in neutral. Picked up by Dobbs. Dobbs checked in with Agbe. Now Martin picking up the puck here. Martin through neutral. Martin with a little bit of space. Hitting the brakes, spinning. Martin going through into the slot. Ottawa picked up the puck loose and chips it down into the Bell Tires bench. So 14:05 on the clock. On ice, we've got the Flanagans, Agbe, Dobbs, and Palucci. Pucked up just outside of the Bell Tire zone. Agbe skating through. Palucci grabbing it, going up the boards here through the half wall. A little bit of interference down to the corner. Send it back to McKenzie. McKenzie's shot is blocked out front, tipped out into the neutral zone, picked up by Hewer. Hewer's going to go ahead and dump as she waits for her team to tag up. The goalie plays it behind the Ottawa net. 13:42 on the clock. Ottawa skating up through their zone. Hewer disrupting the play. McKenzie sending it up to Agbe, who's got open ice. Agbe, pull back. Agbe waiting for some retreat, for some help. Over to Caitlin. Caitlin down to Agbe in the corner. Agbe centering pass, looking for Kazarowski in the center. Coming through the slot. Agbe pulling it back into the corner. Kazarowski sends it back to Caitlin. Caitlin walks the blue line and gets it tipped out into neutral, where she will retreat and play back to Kazarowski. Going back to Caitlin, going up through center. She's just going to send it in on net. And that's going to be held long enough to stop play with 13:05 on the clock. Line change for Bell Tire is going to bring out Dobbs, Kazarowski, Cruciano, Bowman, and Martin. Puck dropped inside the Ottawa zone, taken by Dobbs. Dobbs back to Bowman. Bowman going to send it deep into the corner for Dobbs. Dobbs picks it up, circles, sends it back to Kazarowski. Kazarowski to Bowman. Bowman on net. That puck loose, and a good opportunity. Couldn't quite get it home. Picked up by Martin here. Martin's going to send it back in. Martin got it deep into the corner, picked up by Ottawa. And Ottawa tries to clear. Bowman keeps it in. And we've got Cruciano now down in the corner, pinned up against the back wall. Cruciano battling with Ottawa. Kazarowski coming in, shoving Ottawa around. And Dobbs walking out with the puck. Dobbs sends it back behind the Ottawa net. Cruciano steps back in, trying to get control of the puck. That comes back up top to Bowman. Bowman trying to catch it with her skate. Went past. She's now going to just send it back up into neutral, where it's going to be picked up by Cruciano. And Clemens, who's now checked in with Hewer. Cruciano is going to go for a change. Now you've got Clemens and Hewer hanging out in the Ottawa zone. Ottawa coming through neutral now, defended by Bowman. Bowman gets a stick on it, stops it at the half wall, picked up by Clemens, who sends it ahead for Hewer. Hewer trying to get it into the zone, and the ref hanging out with the Ottawa team there, keeping it out of the zone. Evans now in for Bell Tire with Hewer, Clemens, King, and McKenzie. Flanagan sends it in on net, and Clemens with a backhand opportunity just goes side of the net. 11:33 on the clock. Down in the corner is Ottawa. Out to neutral. Flanagan catches it. Coming in. Sends it in on net. Covered up by Ottawa's goalie to freeze play with 11:21 on the clock. Kurt Dobbs here.
I just want to thank everybody for being online here and watching this game. Looks like Bell Tire's doing really good out here. I'm getting some requests from the audience. What is that?
There we go. The puck is down. McKenzie getting it into Agbe. Agbe with a quick attempt goes side of the net. McKenzie pinching in all the way to the corner. Down to Palucci. Palucci in the corner, shifting it back to McKenzie. Flanagan, backhand, trying to center, intercepted by Ottawa, picked up. King trying to step in, gets a little bit of the puck, but rolls out to neutral. Ottawa now coming in, drop pass, Agbay there. Agbay loses her glove in process, picks it up and keeps going. Palucci now sending it across, finding Dobbs. Dobbs moving it ahead to Cruciano, who just walked in. Cruciano puts it on net for her first play of her shift. Covered up by the Ottawa goalie, 10:38 on the clock. Caitlin Flanagan, Martin out on D, Cruciano, Kazarowski, and Hewer out for Bell Tire. Puck is down. Ottawa in their corner, sending it behind their own net, sending it up. Collected by Caitlin. Caitlin chipped it into the corner. Hewer going into the corner, battling for the puck. Ottawa at the half wall. Ottawa trying to clear their zone. Get it out to neutral. Intercepted by Cruciano. Cruciano battling all the way to the boards here. Picked up now by Martin. And ran into, I think, Kazarowski there. Martin rides that Ottawa player down into the corner where it's picked up by Hewer on the half wall. Hewer's going to come up ice. Chipping it ahead, getting into the Ottawa zone where it's picked up by Ottawa. Going D to D. Bell Tire on a line change now. Dobbs checked in with Evans. And Kazarowski. Martin here on D. Dobbs losing a stick during the process of that play. Sending it aside is Evans up to Kazarowski. Kazarowski sends it into the Ottawa zone. Ottawa off the wall, back out to neutral. Down to Martin. Martin going up top, finding Dobbs. Dobbs going to send it deep, and the ref playing for Ottawa again. 9:27 on the clock. This puck down into the Bell Tire zone. And cleared out by Bowman. Martin now down in the corner. Dobbs sending it up the board. That's going to be picked up by Ottawa at the blue line. Shot in is going to be turned aside by Streeter, who's between the pipes for Bell Tire tonight. Shot blockered aside by Streeter. Ottawa on the half wall. Chopped down. Bowman now behind the Ottawa net. Puck comes out front. Sent out, trying to get it cleared with Dobbs. Going back down into the zone. This is going to be chased down by Martin behind the Bell Tire net. Hard out by Dobbs. Didn't quite make it. And Clemens there on the board trying to get it cleared the rest of the way. Ottawa now back down at their point. Bell Tire looking to clear this puck. Martin sending it up to Agbay. Agbay with possession now and gets kicked back in by Ottawa. Martin trying to get it clear. Martin going all the way into the neutral zone, getting herself free. Martin come into the zone, going across to Cruciano. Cruciano with a shot on net. And that goes just wide. Picked up by Mackenzie Flanagan in. That puck goes off the back wall, collected in by King. King into the corner, centering pass by King. Goes through, picked up by Mackenzie. Mackenzie shot, blocked out front, sent down into the corner. Cruciano down to help. Ottawa trying to glass it out. Mackenzie keeping it in momentarily before Ottawa retains possession and goes into the Bell Tire zone. Hitting the brakes, centering a pass, and picked up by King. King going up the boards. Ottawa at the half wall. Ottawa in the corner. Hewer trying to get it up the boards. Ottawa with possession now. Ottawa sending it back to their point where there is nobody there with 7 minutes and 24 seconds on the clock. Chased by Cruciano here. On ice is Kazarowski, Cruciano, Dobbs, Mackenzie, and King. Half wall, Ottawa in the Bell Tire zone. Sends it down behind the Bell Tire net. King picks it up. Sends it over to the half wall for Kazarowski. Kazarowski trying to clear. Intercepted by Ottawa. And King keeping it out. Now Dobbs. Dobbs sending it across. Looking for Evans, who just jumped on the ice. Evans gets her stick on it. And keeps it in neutral momentarily. Or Ottawa sends it back into their own zone. Dobbs now. Caitlin Flanagan. Sending it across for Kazarowski. Kazarowski couldn't get that control. And it goes to the wall where it's collected by Ottawa. Looks like Bell Tire is going to have a delayed penalty here. Not sure what the call was, but Ottawa's goalie is out. 6 players for Ottawa. And Hewer touches up. Wow. Got head contact on, I'm sorry, I am. It's on Bell Tire's YouTube page.
And what was Bell Tire?
Bell Tire 19U 2025. It looks like Kazarowski is going to the box for head contact. Not sure that I saw it. Looks like it's going to be a 4-minute penalty. 6:23 on the clock. That is a 4-minute penalty for Kazarowski. On ice is going to be Agbe, Martin, McKenzie, and Palucci. Agbe being disruptive at the top here, getting that puck cleared for Bell Tire on this 4-minute penalty kill. Ottawa retreating in their own zone. Palucci. Bell Tire just collecting here. Sending it up to neutrals, Ottawa. Flanagan on D. Flanagan sends it ahead. Palucci gets it out to Agbe. Agbe now with room. Agbe goes wide of the net. Agbe with her own rebound. And Ottawa regains possession at the half wall. Sending it up, Palucci intercepts the pass. Now Martin with it, sends it down deep into the Ottawa zone. 5:39 on the clock. 3:16 on the penalty kill here for Bell Tire. McKenzie, Dobbs, Hewer, Martin on ice. McKenzie with a big collision. Martin going down into the corner. Martin falling over the player and is able to somewhat get the puck out. That goes up top to Ottawa. Ottawa now putting their power play together. That puck goes wide. McKenzie trying to get her stick on it, sending it up the boards. Collected by Ottawa at the blue line. And out front, one-timer missed by Ottawa. Martin now with the puck, sending it out. Ottawa blocked by Streeter. Martin trying to get that puck cleared. Pinned against the boards with 3 Ottawa players on her. And now Ottawa pulls that puck out. Sending it into the slot. Shot across. Block. And not sure what the net was off for that whistle. We had a net off whistle. 4:43 on the clock. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining here in the Bell Tire penalty kill. This is a 4-minute penalty kill. That puck cleared down by, it's Caitlin. Looks like Caitlin is out with King, Agbe, and Palucci. Ottawa collecting behind their net. 0-0 the score. First period. Bell Tire, Ottawa. Puck cleared out into neutral. Bell Tire's had one hell of a penalty kill here, as they are 2 minutes and 10 seconds into their penalty kill. Ottawa circling in neutral. Picked up now by King. Sends it ahead into the Ottawa zone. Chased by Agbe. Ottawa coming back up to neutral. Palucci coming through, just being disruptive on the play. Ottawa lost their stick in the process. King keeping that puck pushed outside, and that is going to be tipped down into the Ottawa zone by Agbe as Dobbs checks in with Hewer, Martin, Bowman. Ottawa thought they had a moment's break until Dobbs and Bowman were there. Ottawa's netminder coming all the way out looking to play that puck. Ottawa circling their own zone, coming up through neutral. This is going to be played now by Martin. Defended by Martin. Centering pass disrupted by Hewer. Goes to the corner. Ottawa in the corner in the Bell Tire zone. Stepped up by Martin. Martin gets a stick on it. Cleared up the boards by Dobbs. It goes to the blue line. Saved by Ottawa. Ottawa walking in. Shot goes wide of the net. And picked back up by Ottawa at the top of the point. D-to-D pass. Sent down low. Martin disrupting the play. Ottawa out front. Hewer in there to disrupt. 30 seconds remaining here in this penalty kill. Top shot. Turned aside by Streeter. Dobbs with a stick lift. Puck goes back. Shot in. Is going to be gloved by Streeter to pause play with 20 seconds remaining in this penalty kill. 2:43 on the clock. The Flanagan's checking in on D. Agbe, Palucci back in for Bell Tire to finish off this penalty kill. Puck is down. Ottawa with possession. Up to the point. B-to-D pass. Going back down. Picked up by Ottawa. Sending it across. Shot. One-timer. Glove by Streeter. 5 seconds remaining in the 4-minute penalty kill. And Palucci on the draw. Palucci drops it back. Flanagan sends it the length. That will kill the penalty. Kazarowski out, and she hits the ground running, looking for that puck. Agbay disrupted. Kazarowski picks it up, gets it almost to Agbay. Ottawa disrupted the play. Kazarowski sending it back to Flanagan. Flanagan and trying to get it down the boards, looking for Agbay. Kazarowski now battling behind the Ottawa net. Ottawa goes in their corner. Sending it up through neutral. Picked off by Agbay. Agbay trying to turn. Kicked ahead by McKenzie. Palucci now getting it to Agbay. Agbay sending it into the zone where it's grabbed by Ottawa. They come back out to neutral. Agbay going for a line change as Cruciano steps in. Evans on ice for Beltire. Chased down to the corner by Caitlin Flanagan. Flanagan sends it around looking for Cruciano on the half wall. Cruciano couldn't quite get to it. Caitlin keeps it going. Evans backhand pass to Cruciano. Cruciano now with some room. Cruciano down to the Ottawa corner. Circling the Ottawa net. On ice, Martin, Evans for Beltire on D. Cruciano, Clemens, and King. That puck missed pass by Ottawa. Gets up the neutral zone where Ottawa circles back into their own zone. 1 minute remaining in the period. That pass picked off by Cruciano. Cruciano at center ice trying to get it over to Clemens. Ottawa on their Ottawa skating down into their own zone. Clemens disrupting the Ottawa play. And an Ottawa player left at the blue line. Martin here to defend. Shot in on Streeter, gets turned aside and sent around. On the half wall, Agbay. Down into the corner. Centering pass by Ottawa goes wide of the net. That's grabbed by Dobbs behind her own net. 20 seconds remaining in this period. Agbay on the puck. Now picked up by King. King sends it around. That's going to go out of the zone and go into Ottawa zone where they will regain possession. Beltire line change brings in Hewer, Palucci, and Agbay. This is going to be grabbed by Martin as time expires in the first period. We will go into the second. We are going to have an ice cut here, so you'll go for a 10-minute break, refresh your drinks, and come back for more Beltire hockey. All right, we're going to be back underway here. 15 minutes on the clock. Second period. Bell Tire Ottawa starting this off. Agbay, Hewer, Colucci, Martin, King. Bell Tire Hockey. Pushing it through is Agbay. Ottawa sending it down deep. That's going to rim around and stop in the water right behind the Bell Tire net. Picked up by Martin. Agbay in to help off the half wall, kicking it ahead. Agbay getting it out of the zone. Ottawa trying to turn it back in. Stopped by Martin. Cleared back out. Ottawa now in neutral. Ottawa going up top, trying to get a pass through, able to get it in. This is going to be chased down by Martin in the corner. Martin pinning it up against the back corner, waiting for Hewer. Martin kicking it ahead, pinning her players while King picks it up, goes to the half wall for Colucci. King's going to send it ahead again. King gets it out of the zone as it goes through. Bell Tire going for a line change. And Ottawa coming back up through neutral. That's going to go the length. That's not going to be called icing. Picked up by McKenzie. Stopped in the water again. Too much water on the ice. Not good for this puck. Cruciano deflecting that pass out. Ottawa's goalie coming way out to play that puck aside. Seeing the speed that Cruciano has. Behind the Ottawa net with possession. That puck stopped in the water for them. Out front, that puck stopped again. Bell Tire with a couple of opportunities there. Flanagan's both on for Bell Tire. Icing wave. 13:25 on the clock. Caitlin's slinging down into the corner there. McKenzie flipping it out into neutral. Chased by Dobbs. Ottawa with possession in neutral. Stopped by the ref. Ref played for Bell Tire that play. And Ottawa picks it off the boards. As Ottawa tries to come up through, McKenzie stops them. And Ottawa with possession now. With an ice cut, I believe, in offsides. 12:58 on the clock. All right, as we get back underway, Clemens out there with, it looks like, Evans, Hewer, and Flanagan's. Clemens circling in, trying to get a slot pass. Couldn't quite get it through. Hewer collecting it at her feet, getting it across for Flanagan. McKenzie sending it towards the net. Deflected out front. That puck was still loose. But a whistle's going to freeze play. Clemens coming out of there saying, I didn't do anything. 12:40 on the clock. Second period. All right, Hewer. Puck dropped. Ottawa coming out of their zone. And, Caitlin on the hunt here. That puck makes its way down into the Bell Tire zone in the corner with Ottawa possession. Ottawa circling up to their point. Going across, blocked by Evans. Evans with the break here. Evans coming in. Backhand shot goes wide of the net. Hewer picking up the garbage. Hewer into the corner. And Ottawa coming out of that battle. Colucci kicking it back in. Colucci now in the corner. Martin in on D for Bell Tire. Martin picking it up off the boards. Going across, shot in. Hits a back and stops in the slot. Martin going across. Martin applying pressure, keeping Ottawa pinned in their zone. Ottawa now shifting it up into neutral where it's kicked ahead. And Dobbs is there to retreat. Martin picked it up. Martin coming up through, grabbing it over to Agbay. Agbay in the slot. Agbay shot off the pad of Ottawa's goalie. Agbay in the corner, dropping it for Dobbs. Dobbs coming across, sharp angle, goes across the goal mouth, and it's picked up by Ottawa where they send it the opposite way. This is going to be picked up by Agbay at the half wall. Agbay walking. Agbay slot. Agbay shot in, deflected in front, and dies in the corner. Comes across, Colucci. Colucci going back out to Agbay. Agbay dropping out to Bowman. Bowman back to Agbay. Agbay just lets it ride around the corner and into the end boards. At the half wall, picked up by Ottawa. Now Bowman. Bowman in neutral, sends it ahead. Picked back up by Ottawa, and they gain the Bell Tire zone. Ottawa on a line change, and now going down to the corner. Centering pass deflected by Palucci, who gets a stick on it. Gets it up. Palucci trying to possess and moves it into the Ottawa zone. Ottawa now coming down into the Bell Tire zone. This is going to be a foot race for Bowman, dropped by Ottawa in the corner. Picked up by Ottawa. Now Martin intercepts a centering pass. Coming up ice. Martin moving up and through neutral. It's it stopped. Cruciano sends it the rest of the way into the zone. Delayed offsides called on Bell Tire. They tag up. Ottawa comes up through neutral. Defended by Martin. Picked up by Bowman. Bowman sending it around, looking for Martin. Martin in the corner. Martin moving it ahead, finding Cruciano, who sends it out to neutral. Kazarowski in a foot race. Kazarowski trying to apply pressure as they go behind the Ottawa net. Ottawa coming up through their zone into neutral. Flanagan and King out on D for Bell Tire. That pass blocked by McKenzie. Ottawa at center ice, shifting it ahead into the zone. This is going to roll behind the Bell Tire net where Ottawa collects, sends it to the corner, picked up off the half wall, and now McKenzie with it in the corner is going to go cross ice looking for Clemens. Clemens hit from behind, puck stopped in the slot, a shot taken, but Streeter between the pipes, not happening. 9:27. And that puck dropped. Ottawa with possession up to their point. Ottawa makes a move, slides into the slot. Shot blocked by Streeter. Rebound opportunity goes wide of the net. King over there disrupting play. McKenzie now at the half wall, sending it ahead looking for Clemens. At their feet, and Clemens sends it the rest of the way into neutral. Ottawa going cross ice. King over there. King with time. King's going to go up top, hitting Agbay, center ice. Agbay. Agbay gains his own, hits the brakes. Spins, centering pass, slot shot. Hewer, gloved by Ottawa. Great pass from Agbay to Hewer with a great shot with 8 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this second period. Bell Tire line change is going to bring out Agbay, Hewer, Palucci, Martin, and Caitlin Flanagan. Hewer on the draw. Over to Palucci. Palucci with the puck. Dropping it back to Flanagan. Flanagan looks for a pass. Drops it deep into the corner. Palucci picks it up behind the net, looking for a centering pass. Out front, and that puck just rolls across the crease and is picked up by Ottawa. Pass intercepted by Caitlin. Sends it ahead, looking for Palucci. Palucci applying pressure down into the corner. Hewer trying to send it back for Flanagan, picked off by Ottawa, sent back behind their net. Ottawa in the corner, off the half wall. Agbay grabs it, comes out, and that puck is going to slide the length. It's going to be picked up by Martin. She's in a foot race, though. Martin circles her own net. Martin going across, sending it up, and that puck is sent back into the Bell Tire zone with 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Dropped by Bowman. Bowman to Martin. Martin to Dobbs. I'm sorry, Cruciano. Cruciano up to Dobbs. Dobbs trying to get it into the zone. Gains Ottawa's zone momentarily where Ottawa retreats behind their own net. Ottawa looking up the wall. Sends it ahead. Picked up by Martin. Martin shifting it ahead. And Ottawa collects it in their own zone. Ottawa sends it to length. That's going to be an icing. With 7 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. 0-0 the score. All right, Hewer on the draw. Agbay out there with Palucci, Flanagan, and King. King at the half wall, out to neutral. Picked up by Ottawa. Ottawa skating in, blocked by McKenzie. Puck goes into the corner where Palucci retrieves, sends it across, finding Agbay. Puck comes out of the zone, and Ottawa has to come out. Ottawa now with possession in neutral. Defended by King. Centering pass. Disrupted by McKenzie. Now picked up by King. King sending it ahead. Agbe with some room. Agbe and Palucci now. Palucci out front. Palucci, backhand is going to go over the net as she slides into the net, where Ottawa gains possession, comes out to neutral. Defended by Caitlin and offsides called on Ottawa to freeze play with 6 minutes and 32 seconds. As Bell Tire is going to go for their line change. That's going to bring out Clemens, Dobbs. Clemens, Dobbs, Kazarowski, Caitlin, and Bowman. Caitlin in the corner. And that puck is bouncing around in the corner. Finally picked out by Dobbs. Sent ahead for Clemens on the half wall. Ottawa down in the corner of Bell Tire zone. Sending it behind their net. This is going to be chased down by Bowman. Bowman into the corner. Kazarowski trying to pick it up off the half wall. Ottawa sending it back down deep. Going behind the Bell Tire net. In the corner. Sent up to the point by Ottawa. Ottawa. Pass doesn't make it down. Picked off at the half wall by Dobbs, who sends it the length of the ice for an icing. As we restart, Flanagan and Martin are going to be out on D with Evans, Hewer, and Cruciano. 5:43 on the clock. Puck is down. Martin in the corner, sends it around to Flanagan. Picked up by Flanagan, sending it ahead. Makes its way to center ice, kicked ahead by Hewer. Hewer gains his own. Hewer sending it across the crease. Off the half wall, picked up by Flanagan, who sends it in. It's going to be gloved by the Ottawa goalie. All right, Hewer on the draw. Puck is down, sent ahead by Evans into the corner. Ottawa sending it up the wall. Picked up by Flanagan. Flanagan's going to dump down to Hewer. It's going to get picked off by Ottawa. Ottawa coming up through neutral. This is defended by Martin. Martin pushing wide. Drop pass by Ottawa. And off the foot of Martin. Martin goes up the wall, finds Hewer. Hewer keeps it moving ahead for Evans. That's going to go down the length of the ice. Icing wave. Ottawa behind their own net. Chased by Cruciano. Ottawa up through center ice. Picked off, and now Dobbs. Dobbs hooked on the play, and tripped on the play. That is absolutely going to be a penalty on Ottawa, and I'm going to put Bell Tire onto the power play for 2 minutes with 4:39 remaining in this second period. So on ice for Bell Tire is going to be Hewer, Agbe, Hewer, Agbe, Palucci, Martin, Flanagan, McKenzie. Hewer on the draw. Puck is down. Flanagan with possession. Over to Martin. Martin walking in. Shot. Martin's going to find the back of the net on a ripper. With 6 seconds off that penalty, is going to put Bell Tire up 1-0. All right, Hewer back on the draw. Palucci down to McKenzie. McKenzie off the wall, finding Palucci. Palucci dumping it into the zone. Picked up by Flanagan. Flanagan sends it ahead. Palucci now gaining the zone, chipping it down into the corner. And that puck is sent around by Agbe. Picked up by King. Now Palucci. Palucci in the corner. Palucci's dumped to the back by a cross check And Bell Tire is going to go on to another penalty. Another power play here. 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Agbay out with Palucci, Hewer, Martin, and Flanagan. See if they can recreate this power play. And Martin's got a broken stick. Equipment failure. And Martin's got her backup stick now. We'll resume play. Hewer on the draw. Hewer's getting kicked out. Palucci to take. Puck is down. Drop down to Flanagan. Flanagan walking. Trying to find Hewer. Palucci picks it up. Drops to Hewer. And that's going to be picked up by Flanagan. Backhanded up to Hewer. Hewer at the line. Waiting for her team to exit. Exits. Hewer into the corner. At the half wall. Hewer, Palucci at the half wall with Agbay. Picked out is Flanagan. Flanagan sends it in. Agbay right in front of the goalie. Palucci drops to Hewer. Now they're going to set up their play. Up top to Flanagan. Flanagan walking in. Flanagan shot. Is going to be tipped by Agbay. Sent around for Martin. Martin over to Palucci. Palucci drops to Hewer. Hewer to Flanagan. Flanagan back to Hewer. Hewer walking in. Dropping over to Flanagan. Flanagan shot in. Blocker aside. Hewer with the rebound shot. Agbay with the shot. Agbay's going to find the back of the net. Agbay on the retrieval of the bouncing puck. Agbay's going to make this a 2-0 game with 3 minutes and 1 second. All right, so as we resume, 3:01 on the clock, 2-0 your score. Clemens took that draw. Evans out there with Clemens, Cruciano, Bowman, and Flanagan, Caitlin. Ottawa in their zone. Evans battling hard here on the wall. And that puck hanging out at the point here. Clemens picks it up. Clemens walking in. Clemens circling. Clemens looking for a drop pass to Caitlin. Caitlin back to Clemens. Clemens sending it in at the feet of Ottawa, who picks it up, goes to neutral. Send into the Bell Tire zone. That's going to be covered up by Streeter to freeze play with 2:25 on the clock. As we resume, Ottawa. Ottawa up top, chased down by Kazarowski. Martin picking it up in the corner, flipping it up the boards, finding Agbay. Agbay chips out, finding that was Dobbs. Dobbs up to Kazarowski. Kazarowski shoots it in, blocked aside by Ottawa's goalie. Behind the net, picked up here by Martin. Martin's going to send it in on net. Picked up by Agbay. Agbay with a beautiful pass to Kazarowski, just past her stick. Couldn't quite find the back of the net. This is picked up by Martin in her own zone. Martin going off the boards, finding Dobbs up top. Going down, Dobbs tips it in. Behind the net, up to the half wall. Out to neutral, where it's picked up by Martin. Martin circling. Martin trying to find the crease. Martin walking in. Martin backhand into the goalie's chest. And Martin looking for her second goal. Going to be blocked by Ottawa's goalie with 1 minute and 33 seconds remaining here in the second period. Line change for Bell Tire is going to bring in Caitlin King, Hewer, Palucci, and Evans. That puck is down. And Ottawa sends it in on their own net. All right, Hewer on the draw here. 1 minute 27 on the clock. Puck is down, picked out by Palucci. And Ottawa gets a little bit of a break. And King says, not while she's back there. Picked out, sent around by Palucci. Picked up by King. King sends it up. Intercepted by Ottawa at the point. Shot in. Ends up under the pads of Streeter. Minute 7 on the clock. Line change for Bell Tire is going to bring in Cruciano, Clemens, Kazarowski, Bowman, and McKenzie. So we'll have Kazarowski here on the draw. Puck is down. Ottawa. Quick shot way wide of the net. Going to be picked up off the half wall by Bowman. Sending it ahead to Cruciano. Cruciano chips. Finds Clemens. Clemens now in a foot race down into the corner. And Cruciano takes a hard spill into the corner. We're going to pause here. Cruciano looks like she tripped over rogue bodies on the ice, but she's up and skating off under her own power, so she is fine. Probably just a little shaken up. 49 seconds on the clock. On that play is going to bring back in Bowman, Flanagan, McKenzie, Agbay, Dobbs, and Palucci. This draw is going to happen just outside the Ottawa zone. Ottawa using a hammer to smack their boards down on their bench, trying to get their team fired up. Ottawa here up top, defended by Flanagan, walks in, shot, turned aside by Streeter, picked up off the half wall by Agbay. Agbay sending it ahead into the Ottawa zone, played by the Ottawa goalie, round to the half wall. Ottawa clearing out into neutral, picked up by Bowman. Bowman in her own zone, down into the corner with Ottawa. Now Dobbs. Dobbs behind her net, sending ahead to Palucci. Palucci loses it at her feet, comes back in for it. Dobbs keeps it out. Now Palucci. Palucci going across, tipped in by Agbay. That's going to be the end of the second period. Bell Tire's going to be up 2-0. All right, back underway. Third period for Bell Tire. We're going to have Agbay, Hewer, Palucci, Martin, and King on ice. Kick back to Martin. Martin circling off the wall, finding Agbay. Agbay chipping it in. Agbay interfered with, goes around into the corner of Ottawa's zone. And waiting for Hewer. Hewer steps in. Puck rolls loose. Picked up by Ottawa. Palucci kicks it into the box, but that is going to be a draw happening in the Ottawa zone. 14:41 on the clock. Hewer on the draw. Puck is down. Hewer ties up. Picked out by Palucci. Palucci with a quick pickup and shot. Going to go just over top of the net. Going to get sent in by Agbe off the half wall. Agbe still battling on that half wall. Finally kicked out by Ottawa. It's going to fly over the head of Martin. Martin's going to retrieve down in her own zone. Send it up the boards. And it's going to come back into the Bell Tire zone. Picked up by Martin. Martin circling. They're going to give her the center of the ice, and she's going to take it. Martin skating in. Martin circling. Martin. Oh, with Kazarowski down there with her. Martin now sending it back behind the Ottawa net, where it's going to be chased down by Clemens in the corner. Mackenzie Flanagan sending it in on net. And that is Dobbs going to keep it in the zone. Dobbs hits the brakes, circles, and it gets to the corner where Kazarowski helps on the half wall. Dobbs pestering Ottawa down in that corner behind their net. 13:40 on the clock. Flanagan. Oh, Dobbs is going to get a hook. I think he said, yeah. So Dobbs is going to get a hook. I thought that was good hockey. The ref saw it differently. So Dobbs is going to go to the box. That's going to put us on the penalty kill. So on this penalty kill, we're going to have Hewer, Agbe, Caitlin, and Mackenzie Flanagan out for Bell Tire. 13:36 on the clock. 2 minutes on the penalty clock. Puck is down. Ottawa with possession up at their point. Ottawa shot in, wide of the net, into the corner. Flanagan chasing her around, and that puck gets picked out. Agbe gets a stick on it. Ottawa sending it down. Slap shot in at the feet of Mackenzie. Picked up by Hewer. Hewer clears the zone. Ottawa retains possession in neutral. Ottawa gaining the zone. Defended by Flanagan. Mackenzie chasing her around the back of the net. Picked off by Caitlin. Caitlin sends it up top. Picked up at the point by Ottawa. Ottawa walking in. Slot pass cleared by Agbe. They're going to go for a change. Kazarowski, Palucci, Martin, Bowman on ice for Bell Tire. 12:48, 1:10 on the penalty. Ottawa gains the zone. Defended by Martin. Half wall drop pass. And that shot in. Streeter bounces that puck out. Palucci gets her stick on it momentarily. Half wall for Ottawa. Palucci just disrupting the play now. Picked up by Bowman. Bowman's going to send it down the length. And Ottawa's going to retreat into their own zone, behind their own net. Hits the brakes. They're setting up their attempted power play. And as they come up through neutral, defended by Martin. Martin stops at the half wall. Gets Palucci to help out. Martin pinning the Ottawa player and lets 3 Ottawa players try and break that puck free as it bounces up to the point. Palucci getting a stick on it. Martin jumping over to it. Up top is Ottawa. Down into the dots. Shot in. Blocked by Bowman. Behind the net goes Ottawa. Up top. And that puck's going to roll out. 6 seconds. This is going to end the Bell Tire penalty kill successfully with 11:37 on the clock. Bell Tire now back at even strength as Dobbs comes out of the box. Down in the corner. Dobbs pinning that puck. You've got Agbe, Dobbs out with Clemens. And that puck somehow sails up into the sky and comes over the net, where it's picked up by Ottawa and goes into the Bell Tire bench. So that'll freeze play. Bell Tire's going to go for a line change here. On ice is going to be Dobbs, Agbe, Clemens, King, and Mackenzie Flanagan with 11:12 on the clock. Flanagan over to King. King up to Clemens. Clemens trying to center. Finding Agbe. Agbe! Agbe's shot gets deflected and turned aside by the goalie. Sent in back by Mackenzie. Down into the corner. Ottawa behind their own net. Ottawa sending it out. Finding a player in neutral. McKenzie picking that puck up in neutral. Trying to shift it ahead. Gets it deep. Kazarowski and Evans stepping back out for Beltire with Cruciano. Length of the ice that puck goes to call for an icing with 10:32. Kazarowski on this draw. Cruciano out. We've got Martin and Caitlin Flanagan out on D. Drop back for Martin. Martin sends it in on net. Goes wide, but picked up by Cruciano on the backside. Shot off the side of the net. Kazarowski trying to play it around. Hits the corner and picked up by Ottawa. Ottawa exits their zone. Gains neutral. Turns in. Deflected by Martin. Turned aside by Streeter. And into the corner. Up top goes Ottawa. Ottawa sends it back down. Martin picks it up. Martin with some room. Martin's going to chip it off the boards and catch around, and that's going to be just offsides.